So just to get this out of the way before I give an update, I know that I look like a mess and I'm recovering from COVID. So in terms of myself looking like a mess, I'm just going to say get over it. And if you have any derisive comments about my eyebrows or whatever else, because I do pay attention to the comments, even if I don't necessarily respond to them or even publish them. For lack of a better term, it is what it is. And so, anyway, so I'm now in the, for lack of a better term, postnasal phase of my COVID case, I guess you can say. And so for about, let me see, so I tested positive for COVID on Christmas Eve. And then the case of the day is, I guess you could say, the second day of the New Year's weekend. And so far I'm returning back to what it was like before, except it never really is the same once you've had even a mild case of COVID. And for me, in many ways, normal is not necessarily good because of depression, OCD, anxiety, ADD, cerebral palsy, and if my ADD gets worse as a result of COVID brain fog, that, for lack of a better term, is its own matter or case or shtick or however you'd like to put it. And something that I'm going to do that I didn't really do before because I didn't want to be intrusive or aggressive or whiny or what have you is I'm really going to start in this new secular year anyway. I'm really going to start pushing others to at least consider checking out my books because, as I've said before, I want to become a full-time author. I'm, for lack of a better term, 31 years old on the secular calendar, 32 years old on the Hebrew calendar, and I'm sitting there going, you know what, I'm not just going to sit back there anymore, and I'm going to really, for lack of a better term, if it pisses you off, don't check out my books, don't whatever, but, you know, if you want to help me become a full-time author, if you think I have something worth reading, even if you're just curious about what I write, at least check out my books, for goodness sake. And by the way, in terms of, you know, checking out, for lack of a better term, checking out things or considering things or what have you, please, if you've not been vaccinated for COVID, even at this point, okay, so the vaccine, as I've said before, may not be the kind of vaccine in the traditional sense of, oh, protecting you from COVID, but at least it is a form of inoculation. So for goodness sakes, even if the COVID vaccine is not necessarily a vaccine, please get inoculated so that if you do end up getting COVID, it won't be as bad as it could be. And if you can't get a vaccine for whatever reason, that's actually all the more reason why people who can get the vaccine should be able to get a vaccine, because they should be able to help you not necessarily catch COVID, or if you do catch COVID, catch a much milder case than you would have probably caught. And to be honest, I think that those of us who got the vaccine have, for lack of a better term, really acted like filters for those whom cannot get a vaccine, because even if we've contracted COVID, we've contracted such mild cases by comparison that if we end up spreading COVID anyway, we end up spreading such mild variants that not many people are getting sick.